Well, it's obviously not an easy. There's not an easy answer for that. What I was thinking when I was preparing for the panel was, what are we doing at the CRC and how can we prepare for that if there's a way to prepare? So for that, I took some ideas from a 2016 report that GSMA commissioned to NERA about the way in which regulators should modify the regulatory framework so that we can fulfill the duty that we have, which is promote investment and competition. That's actually what regulators were created for. So the report attributes the current situation of the industry to three different characteristics. The first one is modularity, which is that technological advances have made possible to meet consumer needs in a range of different ways. That has led to the usage of the term platform, which is a combination of four elements. That's what the report says, which are the hardware, the device that the consumer has in hand, the applications, the operating system supporting that, the contents, which are tradable, and the communications technology supporting that connection to the consumer. So every platform develops a combination of these four at different levels. The second characteristic is are the economies of scale and scope that led to convergence and led to the decreasing prices in the industry, making obviously more benefits for the consumer. And the last one of these characteristics is the dynamism of the industry. That's what the report says. Those three are the characteristics of our market and the industry nowadays. And this dynamism has led to the appearance of new competitors based on new business models that try to build their business models on the combination of the four elements. So as a result, if we think about the platform environment, this construction of different platforms, it is much easier to innovate due to the possibility of having different solutions, technological solutions for implementing each one of those elements that constitute these platforms. Traditional regulation only focuses on the communications network component, which is one of the four. And we as regulators can be missing the whole point of the new dynamics of the industry if we don't understand how the new value chain works. So we have to understand that. We have to study. And we have to change the mindset that we have in terms of regulation and think about how the new market works. Karim was saying something about that. I guess the other panelists too. We have to change how we think about our industry. It's not just a telco industry. It's an industry built with platforms, applications, different kinds of services. And we also need to see that the operators change their mindset so that they start to think as platforms, not as operators, network operators. And we as regulators should eliminate the regulation when we start seeing that offers among platforms can substitute each other. If they don't substitute, it's not easy to eliminate the regulation that exists already. So based on that, the CRC has started to work on changing the way in which we analyze the different markets in Colombia. And we published a document about 3 months ago on which we analyzed the audiovisual services market, the offer of audiovisual services. And we compared the offer that different platforms had in the market as well as the TV subscription offer. We concluded that the contents provided by platforms are not yet a substitute of these new offers in the market, but that we should monitor the behavior of these offers over time so that we could tell which is the moment in which we can change the rules and try to apply, if possible, same rules to the different market players. I also sat with the team in charge of analyzing competition issues at the CRC and asked them about what they thought we would need to change in terms of the process of getting to analyzing each market and try to adjust to the convergence environment. So what we concluded after that discussion is that we need to go from using traditional telecom service competition indicators, such as prices, quality, coverage, to new variables that provide a better sense of the innovation in commercial offers, including available apps for consumers, zero rating offers also. We need to analyze the usage of different attributes of the offer based on the four elements of the that constitute the platforms. And also other characteristics of the offer, such as vertical integration in the whole chain, and strategic agreements that may arise between telcos and content providers, so that we can understand a little bit better what are the different actors and how these actors are interacting with each other, so that we can have probably a better understanding of the new environment that we're dealing with. So in the same way, traditional considerations about market structure have to be reevaluated, such as concluding that a market is concentrated or not. We would need to try to see if the dynamic of the behavior of the actors in the market in things such as investment in R&D, innovation, what they're dedicating to those, and also interactions with other companies that can lead to a conclusion of probably they have a large market share, but there's a healthy competitive environment. So we have to analyze a lot of things different to what we were traditionally doing. And the conclusion, according to this report that I mentioned at the beginning, is that regulators should work on three specific things when trying to define the proper regulation that has to be put in place. The first one is that regulators need to evaluate the impact of the decisions in the whole digital environment, not just traditional market players. Obviously, we have to consider the new players in the market. Linda Griffin said that yesterday. And for this, regulators should have the jurisdiction as well as the expertise and knowledge to consider all the different alternatives that we have in the market. So we must, as regulators, we must study a lot. We must relearn what we thought we already knew about the market dynamics. The second point is regulation should be made as flexible as possible so that we can create confidence on the different companies in the market so that they can take a little bit of risk to innovate. And the third one is that we should start to work on a bottom-up approach to regulation. We should, and the CRC is starting to do that, review the whole set of decisions that we have taken in the past and try to find out if their usage, if they're needed, not for the present, but for the future. Think about, I don't know, 5, 10 years to the future, and see if that regulatory framework is needed, required, even useful. So I would say that these three things, I summarize those in a regulatory mindset change. We need to change our mindset. And we need to become, I said that on Tuesday already, we need to become promoters and enablers of the digital economy environment. And for that, we're trying to go to make an additional step on that, and we're trying to convert ourselves into advisors of the government, knowledgeable and expertise advisors of the government and other governmental institutions, including regulators from other sectors, legislators, also the judicial branch, so that we can have appropriate decisions also from them in terms of promoting digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I was tempted to prompt a question immediately on this. It's interesting because when you say that you see yourselves as advisors to the government, that means that you see the need for additional intervention, additional regulation, new instruments.
It's not additional regulation. We're trying to, we just finished a study that we call Digital Economy Regulatory Roadmap, which is an analysis that we as CRC are trying to promote within governmental institutions, trying to explain to the regulators in other economic sectors that the digital transformation needs to be done by all of us, not just the ICT industry. So when I say that we are an advisor to the government, is that we probably don't need to regulate anymore. Probably there are some things that we need to maintain for some time just to regulate our industry. But we have to start taking regulation off. And we, CRC, are positioning ourselves as that advisor of government. So we're preparing ourselves to become that kind of institution that knows with expertise, knowledge of the markets, advise the presidency, advise the Ministry of Tourism, advise the Ministry of Transportation, what kind of solutions could be implemented so that they can promote the digital transformation in their own sectors?